It's now my great pleasure to ask Rabbi Ari of Shabbat Edmonton to speak.
Your Honor, Mr. Speaker, I'm glad we're on a first-name basis. Everyone else, you said their last name. That's okay, I'll take a chance. And I must say, I do admire your black ribbon on top of your white ribbon. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, thank you very much for the honor of being able to address you here today. There's an old expression that goes, if you think what you thought and you say what you said, you will have what you had. As important as it is to gather together year after year to decry tyranny and oppression, we have to ask ourselves, so when is the cycle going to stop? And what can we do to change this terrible cycle? We're taught that darkness can't be brushed away with a broomstick. Rather, you have to light a candle. All of humanity is fortunate that we have a guidebook. We have an instruction manual. It's called the Bible. We call it the Torah. And when God created the very first two people, Adam and Eve, He gave them a code of conduct, which is known as the 7 Noahide laws. I'll soon explain why they're called Noahide. They should have been called Adamite laws. The first one was not to believe in idolatry, the idea of believing in one God, recognizing that there's one creator for all of us. The second one is not to blaspheme against God, not to be disrespectful to people, His creation, those things which are holy and sacred. Not to murder, respect human life. Not to steal, to respect people's property, people's time, etc. Not to perform any acts of immorality, to respect the family unit that God has established in order to build His world. Not to be cruel to animals, to respect God's creations. And last but not least, to establish courts of law to uphold a civil and a just society. These laws were given to Adam and Eve, and it held for a while. But subsequently, generation by generation, it began to slip. And eventually, mankind became idolatrous and very vicious. In 10 generations, till the time of Noah, God said, I had enough. And He destroyed the entire world, literally, with the exception of Noah, his wife, his 3 sons, and their wives. And when his cruise ship came to a stop about a year later, God said, I'm going to reread the instruction manual for life. And hence the same laws that were given to Adam and Eve were once again reiterated to Noah and to his family, which is why they're called Noahide laws. And they apply to every single human being on planet Earth. This is the bedrock of society. The only exception to that rule is a small and select group of people who, in addition to those 7, have another 606, known as the 613 commandments, and I'm privileged to be one of them. I don't recommend you join, it's a lot of work. If we take these laws and we teach them to our children, to our friends, to our neighbors, we will see a very different world. Someone shared with me a meme that they saw a little while ago after one of the terrible shootings in the United States in one of the schools. And it's of this child talking to God and saying, God, where were you? Why didn't you protect us? And God responded, I wanted to, but you didn't let me in. In many respects, this is the type of situation that we're dealing with around the world. The fundamental difference between idolatry and godliness is idolatry is man's interpretation of how God can fit into his picture. And that's why you'll notice across the board, all dictators, all tyrants have one thing in mind. They want to fix God's mistakes. You see, in their eyes, God made some people, and he made them wrong. He made them the wrong color. He made them the wrong religion. He made them the wrong creed. He made a mistake. So therefore, I'm going to step up to the plate, and I'm going to help God clean up his world. It's the same modus operandi all over again, just different dates, different times, and different megalomaniacs. Godliness is God's interpretation of how mankind fits into his picture. It is these 7 Noahide laws that have kept humanity sane and sound through all the troubles that we've gone through. It's not an accident that Canada has it in its national anthem, God, keep our land glorious and free. In the United States, in God we trust. In England, God save the Queen. And in many, many other countries, whether it's the anthem or any other important document, a political leader takes office, puts his hand on the Bible. Why? Why in the Bible? Till today, it's the #1 best-selling book. There's got to be a reason for it. We know what the problems are, but God has also given us direction for the answer. There are many paths to one God. We have different ways of serving him, but so long as we recognize that there is one creator for us all. I once saw a cute t-shirt that said, with a little grumpy kid on it, I know I'm good because God don't make no junk. We are all created in the image of God himself. And God doesn't make any mistakes. Man does. In the creation of a human being, the Talmud tells us there are 3 partners. The parents contribute the body, and God contributes the soul. If we work together as a team, we're going to build a very beautiful world. And so may God grant that we should very speedily merit the promise that is brought down in Isaiah. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, and man will learn war no more. Followed by the promise in Zechariah, and on that day, God will be one, and his name will be one. And very speedily, we will indeed see not just God keep our land glorious and free, but indeed God keep our world glorious and free, that the coming of the righteous Mashiach speedily in our day, and may we all say Amen. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rabbi Ari. And I too am glad we're on a first name basis, although I believed that was your name, was just Rabbi Ari. So my apologies to that.